in Burundi abagiye bameze bate ariko twe ntitubuza abantu. By the way, we don't stop people from these countries coming here, and we don't touch them. We haven't been touching Ugandans, we don't touch Burundi. Whoever wants to come here, they come here. But it has become too difficult for Rwandese to move to these two countries. So what is going on?
Your Excellency, nkuko mubivuze ntabwo tubuza abantu kugenda, nayo bibaye nukubarinda, ariko iyo ugereranyije ku mupaka w'Uganda ni Burundi no Buganda niho hari movement nyinshi kurusha hariya hepfo.
No, ndavuga ariko abantu mu Rwanda officially baramuvinga bakajya Burundi, Israel, they do business there, they come back. Abanyarwanda
baratinya mu cyo gutinya kuko araho naho I Burundi baba harasingaga cyane ngira ngo baratinya.
What is, for example, the reduction from the numbers of the people who used to go there when things were normal, and now what is the percentage? Immigration wako wapi? Yes.
Your Excellency, imibare tubona y'abanyarwanda bagiye Burundi yaragabanutse kuva igihe batangiye kubaharasinga. Tubona abasigaye bagera abanyarwanda batinyuka kujyayo nabagiye bafite impamvu wenda hari nkabene wabo bagiye gukingura cases nk'izo, ariko tubona ko hagabanutseho 70% yuko abanyarwanda bajyaga bagiye Burundi. Kuko numbers
it was reduced to about 30%.
30% nibo bajyayo ubu ngubu, Your Excellency.
Naba benshi ingira ngo nabaturiye imipaka basanzwe bafitanye, but still 70% reduction is very significant. But it came as a result of the problems they were facing on the other side. So it is almost similar to what the problem we are having with Uganda. We are going necessarily to see a significant reduction of people moving there, and this is not something we should be blamed for, because it is not actually coming from us, that it's coming from the other side, when people are not feeling safe to go the other side. But as I said, if you come to me and say, my family members have been arrested in Uganda, they went to Uganda the other day, and say, please, we want you to help us. What should I tell them? What should I do? Other than saying, I have raised this matter about other cases, nothing has happened, so I can only advise you not to go there. Those who haven't gone there, if you don't want problems for which you will come looking for help from me, just don't go there. Going back to James's initially what I thought was ill-advised statement, it has now come to be validated. Yes, this is what is happening. Now, other things. For people who know, who remember, who have memory, it's not so long ago. Around 1998. Do you remember somebody called Sendashonga? Muramuz. Do you also know an author or some academic or something called Prunier? Gerard Prunier, you remember him? Has anyone seen his book called From Genocide to Continental War or something? Does anybody know about the book? You are really something. There is a book he wrote from, I think it is from genocide to continental war. In that book, you should look for it. He gives a story of before Seti Sendashonga died, 98, how he met him in Nairobi with generals from Uganda. And he even mentioned the name. He mentions the names. And he says, he was actually, he says personally, he was in the meeting. In fact, he's the one who introduced, before that meeting, he's the one who introduced Seti Sendashonga to Uganda, authorities in Uganda. And from that, he says, then subsequent to that meeting, they had a meeting in Nairobi with the generals from Uganda. And the meeting was about putting together all means to support Seti Sendashonga, even militarily, as long as he can also mobilize Rwandese, which he said he was doing and already had a few hundreds, according to him. So they put up a plan, and he says, so he was saying, I'm saying it with authority, because I was in the meeting. And Prunier hasn't been very friendly with us, as you also know in other cases. And in fact, even in that, he's trying to say, in fact, this is why Seti Sendashonga died. Because when we had been planning this and had put him in contact with, and everything was coming together, that the government of Rwanda thought that Seti Sendashonga had crossed the line. And that's how he came to die. Well, so my reason for pointing out this is to show the cycle of things that have been happening for the last now 20 years, where while we are meeting here, trying to see how we should develop and move, there is somebody somewhere saying, we will not allow you. It is a repetition of that. It's the same thing coming back. So this was, you read carefully, and it has elements of truth in what Prunier was saying, because we actually had that intelligence that indeed those things were happening. The things he wrote in his book. As to whether actually Seti Sendashonga died because he had crossed the line, I have very little to say about that, but I am also not apologetic about it. So, in our discussions with the leaders of Uganda, many of those meetings, there would be foreign ministers, Louise Mushikiwabo, before she left to become Secretary General, would be there. The franc exchange is that, in fact, one time I also sent her, several times. Another time I sent, or several times I sent this General Zawamwita, who is head of our security. We have received the emissaries coming from the other, and we've been talking about how we can resolve these matters. Our position, our stance in the past, now, and in the future has been to say, why don't you help us to get rid of these problems? They are not necessary. We will continue to beg to, in fact, in one meeting, I told the president of Uganda, I said, you know, President, I'm begging you. I used that word. I said, I am begging you. Deal with this matter. It's not necessary. I don't see how Uganda benefits from it. Of course, we don't benefit from it ourselves. Then there was a case that keeps coming up about a man you also know called Rujugiro, who used to be here. He has businesses in Uganda. Whatever he does, but I was giving the president information. I said, you see, he's doing businesses there, then he's passing money to people to fight us, and so on and so forth. One time he told me, and I had no quarrel with that, he says, you know, well, first he told me he doesn't know Rujugiro. I had to prove to him that he knows him. So, so that matter was resolved. We put it aside. Then we went to, then he told me something, I took it the way it was. And I'm going to go, you see, the problem with your one is you need to know how to differentiate politics from business. I said, thank you, sir. I said, but sometimes business and politics have no dividing line. Sometimes they are just, and I was going to say, if somebody is giving money to groups or to a group to destabilize another country, I don't think this is just normal business. Is it? Would this be normal business? No. Then at the same time I said, okay, even this one, President, I'm leaving it to you. It's you to manage it the way you think is right. Then another time in a meeting, I asked the president, I said, President, I have heard all these problems that I am bringing to you that are serious to us, and they cause us unnecessary challenges. But maybe these things are happening because you have a problem with us, or there is a problem actually we have created for you or for your country. Can you tell me what the problem is and I address it? And there was nothing. And I was saying, I'm just being frank with you, I'm being honest with you. I don't think anyone needs this problem. I don't need it, my country doesn't need it. Can we address it? I said, if you have anything against Rwanda, I'll go back home and address it. If you tell me what it is, I'll go. Even if I don't know, I'll go back home and ask. others I work with and say, have you been doing these things to Uganda? There was nothing. So I said, but for me, I have given you this whole thing. Some of the things you said you don't know. The others, there is a different explanation, and so on and so forth. I said, still, I'm leaving it to you to address it. This is where we are, and still I'm leaving it to them to address. For us, we need to concentrate on what we need to. That is our development, that is protecting it, that is doing more of development for our people. But now, here is the other practical thing I wanted to come to. In the whole process, and that's why I started by asking, I said, haven't we had enough challenges to learn from that we shouldn't be repeating the same mistakes about what we are doing for ourselves or how we are doing it? So I'll give you examples. In fact, now this brings in the private sector as well. We sat here, we agreed, we've been discussing it everywhere. You are the ones who brought up something called Made in Rwanda, isn't it? I thought it had a very important meaning. Minister of Commerce. Made in Rwanda, Minister of Industry. I thought it had a huge meaning. I think we wanted to do things here, as many as we can, for export, but also for our people, isn't it? That's why we ran into problems with some developed countries' markets. When we said we want to make clothes, we don't want to use the clothes. Isn't it what we did? But so it's the same thing. Do you want food made from somewhere else? Can you grow your own food? Do you remember here in another retreat when I even put the question to you, is when we talked about chicken and eggs and something. Do you remember? Which retreat was it? The last one or the one before? Huh? 2 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we haven't still been able to have chicken and eggs produced here because we were raising it. I think it was something about where they come from, and there was a problem about it. And I said, but why do we need to wait until some eggs are thrown at us? You know, because that also happens. In fact, those who throw them at us, it's because they have excess. But why don't we produce our own for food, for what we need? So, can you, Minister of Agriculture, tell me why that should be a problem? In this day and age, producing eggs, having a chicken and having them producing eggs, is it rocket science? We have to still invest millions in research about it, or what? What is the problem?
There is no problem, Your Excellency. Actually, we had taken decisions not to let the dumping, and then it was made, and it
Yes.
happened just in 2 years. We were able to do it.
Now you are doing it.
I recall we had to stop the dumping.
I hope so. I also hope you did, because because it seems even with our challenges, dumping might not seem to be a problem for us. I mean, psychologically, the mindset, if we here don't see that having any kind of dumping here is a problem, then we are the problem. Absolutely. Even the fact that we actually came to that point 2 years ago where we talked about it, because how many years have we been here? So we needed to have addressed it long ago. It didn't have to come 2 years ago. These are some of the simple things we can be able to do. So that, because you remember I also mentioned in the same, suppose where they are coming from, people decided to say, we are not going to send our eggs or chicken to Rwanda. What happens? That means somebody starves you. Isn't it? So why should you put yourself in this situation where your livelihood depends on somebody else, on things you can afford to do? This is why I started with what I started with. Why do you make yourself vulnerable even on matters that you can afford to do for yourself? What is the problem? No, I'm still with you on telling you more stories. The Ministry of Health. Do you remember the case of, I think we discussed it also, I don't know whether it was circumcision. Young people, primary, secondary school children and others crossing the border and in their hundreds, and when you asked why, what is going on, they say they were going for circumcision. And I asked the minister, I said, 2 points here. There is, what is this device which, prepex? Has anybody heard of something called prepex? You heard about it? It was invented here, right? By Rwandese, and they was working with an Israeli company, if I remember well. A military doctor, I think, right? This is a device that has, is known for its effectiveness, its efficiency, its prepex, a device that was made here. So I asked the Minister of Health, I said, aren't you ashamed? Shouldn't we be ashamed that we have something of a world renown invented here, but we don't use it? We have, the others are using it. In West Africa, in fact, I was told many countries have found that to be the most efficient way of doing their thing. But so I asked the minister, I said, what happened? It was invented here. We should have scaled it up, even if it meant government involvement, putting in money. And we do it, and not only that, export it. We should be the ones exporting it, not others selling it to us. These are the things I'm telling you I don't understand, I cannot understand. for people like us who have grown and, to an extent, thrived in the hardships, to keep missing these things that we should be doing. Ariko ntabwo ari Ministry ya Health gusa. Kuvuga ngo even our mayors of these districts and where people cross and go to other countries to get services, we are known better for by the rest of the world to be giving our own people, then to find that actually in the end it flips on its head and we are going for these services from somewhere else. There is something terribly wrong with the system, with you. There is no question about it. So up to now, Minister of Health, tell me what up to now, what happened? I've never understood it. Can you attempt to explain to me again? Not only did it, actually it did not happen once. Even after we had said it and so on and so forth, they still found people are still going, and when they asked, so what happened? Tell me, because I wanted to deliver my point of what I'm saying, of how we come almost to be blackmailed on things we are capable of delivering ourselves. Why do you accept blackmail? Tell me what happens.
Your Excellency, we didn't align the means to the demand we created. Some concision.
Yes, but why should that arise? Is it because the minister didn't know, didn't think about it? Is it because all of us somehow we get paralyzed and stop seeing things the way we should be seeing them? What goes on is really the main point I want to raise. What happens? What happens to the mayors who see children in their hundreds crossing borders, going somewhere else? What do they think is happening? What happens to the Minister of Education and the heads of schools seeing, in fact, the way they saw it, these children crossed during the school week. It was not even on a weekend. No, they just moved in a mass on a school day, and when they were, now, suppose actually the other side had arrested them, like now they are arresting people. Do you come rushing to us and say, or their parents, they come rushing to us and say, our children have been arrested in Uganda? The first question is, what were they doing there? How did they go there in the first place? And the answer would be, oh, they had gone for circumcision. Is this serious? Huh? So, Minister of Education, it's the Minister of Health, it's the Minister of Local Government, it's the governors, it's the mayors, it's everybody. How do children of this age make it habit? They don't even hide it. They go in mass during the day, during the school week. And you find it normal, all of you, that this is something that nobody should be bothered about. How? Diane, I'm still waiting for you. I want to understand it. But as much as I'm waiting for other people to tell me what is going on.
Your Excellency, we don't find it normal. Binateye isoni ntabwo rwose tubona ko
Biteye isoni. Murashaka kwishyira mu position aho namwe muteye isoni se. You no longer, you people, you know, no shame. Even we invest heavily in the provision of water to our population, but we still have people crossing borders for water. Water. People cross just as a habit, even if there is water nearby in the same distance, they still cross to pick it from the other side. Now, I can't just say there's something wrong with this person or the young person who crosses and goes to pick water. I actually find something more serious with us, the leaders, who see that happen and they see nothing wrong. Secondly, where there is no water, maybe there has not even been pressure for these leaders to have government put their water sources for them. It's normal, because they have found it normal, that you can be crossing borders to go and fetch water instead of providing water to your own people where they are. Even schools. Schools, do we need to have children cross borders going, during the day they are on the other side, in the evening they are back, and they are probably getting the same quality of education there as they would get back home. But because nobody sees nothing wrong with that, then it happens. Now, even for business people, now I'm coming to you. Now I'm going to have because there are things you should be providing, that you are capable of providing to your own people, to your own market, that you are so careless about and you actually don't provide. In fact, you end up surrendering your market to others because you can, and sometimes you do it so poorly that you think making your thing more expensive, well, it compensates for, at least gives you the profit you want, and that's it. So people on the other side who can provide the same thing you're providing cheaply, bring it here. And you, in fact, without knowing, you have created an unnecessary competition for yourself. But it goes on and on and on. You know, honestly, even water, even namazi. Water, soap. On one hand, we say, oh, we produce water, we produce soap. But what happens? When your people don't access it, and they end up having to access water from somewhere else, because yours, and by the way, your water which you're making is so expensive for Rwandans hasn't even been so attractive to these other markets. So that's why some people end up closing shop, people come the next day and say, sometimes people want even a government intervention. It's like, you force people to buy my thing. I mean, let me tell you another story. Something called the Semerwa, right? Prime Minister, do we still have this blood thing? To actually fit them investment. No, process shorten it. Semerwa can't produce enough cement at all, far from enough. Then they are very expensive. Then the government, if you me governor, so what is next? What is next is that they think we can stop cheaper cement coming in so that they make money. Imagine. So we stop cement from the region that is cheaper to come in, maintain the expensive cement from Semerwa, which they are not producing enough of, and that is business. So I'm really disappointed that something additional. Iyo Semerwa, government ifitemo shares, hari n'abandi bo hanze bafitemo, nibo the majority, bafite majority shareholding. Bafite fitawa. Ariko, for them, they make profit. You know the tricks they use, including transfer pricing, including all kinds of things, but they have no loss. Every loss is on the back of government. So nobody, Prime Minister, nabwo kubu icyo mwashyiriye investment muri Semerwa is to absorb the loss made by the company so that your partner makes profit. And then you're not even supplying even a quarter of what is needed in Rwanda. If mvuga, you business people, murabizi ariko? PSF man. Murabizi? Yeah, tell the people because ndababwira bakibwira ngo hari ibyo
bivuga n'ibyo kabisa.
Yes, this is what happens. So government's duty is to absorb loss and allow a partner to get away with the profit. But still, Abanyarwanda get nothing from it. And then, so, kubera ko government ifite mu ruhare, we should stop cement coming from Uganda, from Tanzania, from wherever that is cheaper, to protect them. I told them, we are not going to protect them. First of all, I advised these people, I said, why don't you give it to this company, private company, 100%? Mwe murakora miki. Kuko, either they will do better, provide cement, and make profit, or they will close shop, which is okay with me. Yes. Why should we have cement and tell lies that we manufacture cement, but it is a cement that just brings only loss to you? What sort of business is that? So, Prime Minister, ntabwo numvise ngo process ahigeze ni hehe?
Your Excellency, twabanze kubarura agaciro ka shares zacu dufitemo kugira ngo
ariko ntimuze abantu bazi, ntabwo mufite abantu bazi kubara mubarura amezi angahe ubu muri aba bantu ntabazi kubara kubarura niki
twarabirangije hanyuma ubu twabwiye bari atudufanya kugira ngo bemere niba bashaka kuzigura tubaha iyo chance d'abord kugira ngo twemere ko bazishaka timeline ukwezi kumwe end of March turatazishyira ku isoko rusange none tuzigurisha n'abandi bazikeneye
ubu turi no close it. Yes.
Aba South Africans bari bakirimo bemeye kuzigura twazibaha shares zacu hanyuma abanze twakira ku isoko tuzagurisha n'abandi bazikeneye bakajyamo twe tukavamo ariko twa end of March
ntawe uzazikenera kerezubara imibare ya politics. This is called political mathematics. Bajya baka naho ibintu bitaguha ntabwo numva imibare bagomba kubara amezi of this small thing, small industry. Very clear. Where you are making loss, it is clear. If you are making profit, it is clear. There is nothing hidden. Yes. I don't see why people spend so much time. Anyway, I want this thing done and done with very fast. N'ibindi bimeze bityo. Yes. Minister of Industry. Ibindi bimeze bityo nibi. I want to help you close them down and allow people who want to do good business to do good business.
Your Excellency, twari turimo gukora assessment za industries zivuga ko zifite ibibazo ariko tukareba actually zifite ibibazo kuko it's poor planning, where you can also recommend exit kuko hari always a mindset yuko government will bail out.
Ejera microphone.
Sorry Your Excellency. Ibyo navugaga nuko twakoraga assessment of all industries zifite ibibazo ubu ngubu kuko hari mindset yuko government will bail them out even if troubles ziri mari either due to mismanagement or poor planning or lack of competitiveness on the market. We wanted also to recommend zimwe to be closed down. I think izo turimo kureba on restructuring twabiganiriyeho was on Kinazi kubera ko tunarebye whether we could attract a private investor. For now I don't think he would raise any appetite kubera their financial status, so we would rather restructure it first and then when it becomes profitable or break even we can propose it to private investors.
Yes, but for me time is of essence as well. All of these stories we are talking about, what time frame have we given ourselves to do these things? Kuko, for me it is between on these matters, between yes and no, there is very little room for anything else. Either you are doing it and you think it makes sense and you are giving it a good direction and you finish with it, or make quick calculation, you find it doesn't make sense at all, you close it. But you can't stay between yes and no forever. Yes, it has to end. From the beginning, ibi byose nibi bibazo tugirana na neighbors bacu, ibi byose bikwiye kuba now hitting us in our face. And then oh, after all, why didn't we put a school here? Why didn't we put water here? Why don't we put... Why do we have our people being arrested left and right? Most of the things they go to do somewhere else are things they can do here. They benefit, and our people benefit as well, the people of this country. Right? Yes, there's no reason we have to be in this kind of position unless you have given up, you have surrendered. Aho navuye n'ibibazo byose nta kintu nabonye kiri impossible for us to overcome. So, therefore, I think, or we think we are making a good progress until somebody reminds us and tells us, you know what, I will not let you have it. So we are being told, therefore, no, we will not let you have it. But I think we must have it. It's a must. It's not something you approach with a divided mind, with in a half-hearted manner. I don't think so. And when I hear somebody say, no one can destabilize our country, I agree. I agree with that. Meaning somebody is saying that. I agree. No one should actually be destabilizing that country, but that country should also not be destabilizing others. I think it's a fair deal, isn't it? Yes. It's a fair statement to say when you are another country that no one can destabilize your country. I agree with that, 100%. Why should actually anyone destabilize your country? But in the same breath, why should you be the one to destabilize other countries? That's the question that must be answered. Let me end on this note. You see, for this Rwanda, that's what I think. I don't know what you think. You are free to think whichever way you want, or whatever you want. For me, I have learned the lessons of our struggles, of the hardships of our country. I have learned lessons from that. And a number of lessons I have learned. One of them is, the most important for me is, I am not in control of what somebody else thinks about me, plans to do against me. I'm not in control. It's that person. But I must be in control of something. And that is what happens here in my country. So you can destabilize, attempt, or do it actually. You can do us harm. There are many things, people who wish you ill, many things, bad things. There are many things they can do. You know, even at a personal level, you can kill somebody. You can shoot me with a gun and kill me. That's a possibility for some people. But there is one thing that is impossible, that cannot happen to me, and I wish it shouldn't happen to our country. Nobody, anywhere, can bring me to my knees. Absolutely not. Because coming to your knees is your choice. I think it's a choice. There are people who make choice to be brought to their knees. But that's a no-go area for me. You can't be brought to your knees. I can't. I don't think our country should ever be brought to our knees. But people will do harm to you. They can attempt, they will do. Maybe they will succeed here and there. But bringing you to your knees, I think, please, men and women of my country, you should never accept that. We are better than this. Yes. We are much better than that. And the most final thing is I have raised with our friends in all these struggles. I have really been as elaborate as I can. I have told them, I said, look, I have begged and begged. Maybe it hasn't, but I have come to a point where in that begging process, I have raised a few things. I said, in a relationship, country to country, or even for me, personally, person to person, there are 3 types of relationship you can have. One is we can be friends, we can be allies, we can work as closely as anyone can. And that's my choice. That's what I want. And if that is the choice of the other party, they will never find us wanting. They will never fault us with having failed to respond as good friends, as good allies, never. We are honest friends, we are honest allies with anyone who wants to be friends. The second type or choice of relationship is you can say, you know what? Why don't you ignore me and I ignore you? And we have nothing to do with each other. And for me, that's fair. If you tell me, say, this is my choice, I'll say, please have it. Let's each do our own things without bothering about the other. And for me, that's also fair if that is your choice. It's not my choice. I told you my choice is the first one. But if people you relate to think this is the choice, I think it is even fair. It's quite fair. But there is the third one. The third one is, you said, you know what, I don't like you. Not only do I not like you, I will always cause you problems. We will always conflict. Then I say also to that, since it has not come from me and it will never come from me, then still that is okay. We can live like that, and let's see where it takes us. But that also means you should be building capacities to sustain that. Meaning, in my case, in our case, we should be able to say, okay, if somebody has just sworn to keep causing you problems and enmity, we should be building capacities to contain that so that it doesn't overwhelm us one day. So when you keep coming to us with the problems, then we should be able to deal with that, to absorb that. In other words, I'm saying it will not come from us. It will not come from this country, it will not come from me, it will not to seek problems with others. And I even don't want it. But what if others have made a choice to bring the problems to you? They should find you ready to absorb it. Absorb it, contain it, and make sure it doesn't give them what they want. Of course, all that becomes costly. It diverts resources, it diverts attention, it does what? But we should be prepared for that. That's what it costs. That's the price. The price of stability and continued well-being and growth and is there. The price is there. That means we need to do the best we can and have to both to make progress, but also to defend the progress we are making. And to prove this point, as you have seen, we have been provoked, people crossed the borders, killed our people. We have not even responded. It's like nothing has happened. Murabi is our southern province. The number of border crossings and killings that have happened on our side and a lot of things, but we were able to see that somebody wanted trouble with us and drag us into this mess. So later on, when they have dragged you into these kinds of problems, like the intention was in the South, then you start looking the same. You are the same. They have their own problems they are struggling with, which they want to attribute to us. So they actually wanted the validation of saying, you see, the problems we have are not actually ours, they are coming from the other side. By managing to suck you into this kind of situation, they would have achieved that. So we denied them that. Even with this other situation, we are going to deny people that kind of chance. Whoever provokes us, left, right, north, south, we will mind our business here. And I hope people will give us a chance to be able to mind our own business and for them not so much mind our business. We don't need other people to come to resolve our problems because they have heard that we have one problem or another. It's our problem. Let's own it. Let's try to resolve it. If we are so bad or so weak or such, we are the ones to reap the consequences of that. But it is ours, it's our thing. We need a chance to be able to manage our own situation, not, as I have kept saying, we shouldn't be following the rules set by others. No, we need to set our own rules for ourselves. We need to make more choices. Even these rules should be based on choices we make about ourselves, our country, and so I think I have given you more than you wanted, but I thought it was necessary to clear the air and your minds, and but there is no free lunch. I am telling you all this so that you also respond the way you should in action, so that we deliver for our people who are waiting for us. Asanteni sana.